Like I thought 100K would be a big deal. It felt good for like 2 minutes. With numbers, I feel in YouTube, it's never ending. You should have certain goals to give yourself direction, but you'll never be satisfied. So in today's date, I feel people should focus a lot more on the quality of the content. I promise you, you will get subscribers.
When did you start thinking that, hey, I need to be making content that at some level has an impact on the business?
So a lot of people don't even know that I work in AgriPlus. AgriPlus was founded by my company. Most of my viewers would never know that. And it was a very intentional effort to make sure that they don't know. The whole idea was, if you provide people enough value, some way or the other, they'll find a way to come back to you. So my father keeps saying giving takes care of getting. That's sort of the fundamental we've built this channel on. People who create content, you should focus on just creating value for people. You should focus on building trust. Because if people start to trust you, trust me, they'll find a way to come back.
But that's a very long bet to take, right? How are you so comfortable taking that?
If you're looking to do YouTube solely from day one, then you have to give it your all in and understand that it comes with a huge element of risk. Otherwise, make sure that along with YouTube, either you have a backing or you're building something alongside it. Like I was talking to Ganesh Prasad, Think School. I think till about 1.5 million subscribers used to edit all his videos on his own. Nas Daily. Nas Daily got hired editors a lot later. He used to do a lot of his content and stuff on his own. So it's a lot of blood, sweat and tears.
What are like some benchmarks on like the analytics side that you go for on your channel, right?
Within the first 8 to 10 minutes, I'm providing them absolute value. I'm providing them, the key parts of the podcast, which brings me to the second point, which is average view duration or average percentage viewed. For a podcast channel, I've been advised my channel AVD should be around 8 to 10 minutes. Now it's maybe around.
Before we get into the episode, I want to share something with you. 83% of you that listen to the show haven't yet subscribed. The biggest challenge to making content is staying motivated, and numbers go a long way in doing that. So if I could ask you for one simple favor, it would be to click on the subscribe button wherever you are listening to us. Our commitment to you is that if you do that, we will do everything in our power to make sure that this show is better for you every single week. It only takes 2 seconds for you, but means the world to us while we bootstrap our way to our first 1,000 subscribers. Now let's jump into the episode. To start off with, I came across you in like a very unexpected way, right? I was actually looking at, I'm forgetting the channel name, but this is the guy who has his shorts. He doesn't have too many videos on his channel. Fairly large channel. I think it's over 1 million subscribers. And he talks about, you don't have to do a job, but if you just do this, like grow cucumbers. And that video, because I'm like a retention sort of obsessed, right? So I'm like, oh my God, I saw this whole video. What is this new niche that I've never thought of before? And that sort of got me into this niche of like farming YouTube, right? It was very fascinating to sort of explore the niche, see that almost it's like a subcategory to business, the way that I saw it, that a lot of people are looking to it as, hey, we want to do some sort of passive income. Okay, like let's do farming. When you first started the channel, did you know that it would grow to the scale that it has today?
Well, I always wanted to grow it. That was definitely a goal. But I didn't know that it would happen this quick. My goal for the first year was just to grow to 10,000 or 5,000 subscribers, and that too across 3 channels I had planned. I thought I'll do a main channel, a clips channel, shorts channel, vagera.
YouTube channels only.
Yeah. So because previously I knew how difficult it was even to get 1,000 subscribers, right? But then it got a lot quicker. Because I was consistent, the results were a lot quicker. I'm like, okay, this seems possible. But the moment you hit that 100K mark, you're like, okay, that's it. Now what next? So with numbers, I feel in YouTube, it's never ending. You should have certain goals to give yourself direction, but you'll never be satisfied. Like I thought 100K would be a big deal. It felt good for like 2 minutes. They say when you make money, I haven't obviously made that money yet, but when you make a lot of money, you think of what next. It's the same thing with YouTube subscribers. So in today's date, I feel people should focus a lot more on the quality of the content, kind of views, kind of engagement they're generating. I promise you, you will get subscribers. Numbers don't matter as much anymore.
Before we were recording, you were talking about how Alex Hormozi also says this, that someone can have 1 million views, 1 million subscribers or followers, and someone can have 0. And if you make good content, the 0% can actually do better than someone with 1 million subscribers, right?
100%.
That's a very, I feel, well-informed content thought. It would only come from someone who's done like their fair share of researching, right? When did that come about? Like, were you always interested in YouTube? You mentioned you had a channel before this.
I started my first channel in lockdown. Like I was talking to you. At that time, I was quite keen about health, fitness. I'm like, why not? Most people, I think, had a good amount of self-discovery during COVID. For me, it was maybe, let's start making videos. And that's the time when I was doing videos in English and my Hindi was really funky. Like even to date, I am still working on my Hindi, right? I think in English, I speak in Hindi. So in 2019, I started my first channel. That was around fitness. I would just post like fitness videos, so and so, my journey. It was not as thought through. It was just me kind of doing something to keep myself busy. But yeah, that was very fun. Like in a way, again, it was just, really enjoyed the process of making a video, the research, the studying, and that gave me a lot of knowledge. So I think 5 years down the line, when I came back to agriculture, I thought of YouTube as a good tool to learn. Although I come from an agriculture background in terms of business, I felt like I had never paid attention to this industry as much, never paid attention to what the foundation of my business is, what does it actually do in its truer sense, right? So this podcast was a great way for me to understand the industry better. And I can quite firmly tell you that I think YouTube has been a very good tool that today, almost every topic about agriculture, I can speak a little. Like I might not get into the depths of it, but someone, let's say from industry A comes to me, I can talk to them briefly about the industry. Someone from industry B comes to me, I can hold a conversation. So yeah, my journey started in 2019, but the whole process of making a video, learning along the way, I think that's what excites me even to date.
No, that makes sense. If you were to sort of quickly explain to someone, because I'm sure there are a lot of people who don't know about the agriculture niche from our audience, right? What AgriTalks is about, like what the goal is, how would you summarize it?
My father and I came up with the idea. He's like, why don't you start a podcast? I think he also needed his bait. I need to hold him. So let's make him do something which he also possibly likes. So for me, the idea was in agriculture, there's not a lot of information easily available, right? Let's say typically 5 years down the line, 5 years before, a farmer who's doing extremely well or a business who's doing really well, they might not be as open about sharing what's worked for them, right? And majority of the farmers in our country are very small, very marginal. They probably can never get access to such people. So the whole idea when we started out was to create an information asymmetry. Like people should be able to get information at ease. When we started, that was the main idea. But for me, it was always about I'll also particularly choose and talk to those people where I am interested to learn. So I think the whole idea was to make sure people get access to good information while keeping myself interested. Because it's a vast, vast industry, right? And there are so many topics, so many people. But the more podcasts I did, I think I started finding more and more things interesting. So now I would just say the idea is farmers included. Let's say someone like you and I, you probably have come across my podcast. You would be curious about agriculture. Someone who's from a corporate background, how can we get them curious about agriculture, right? Because in today's date, an average farmer is about 50 years old. Not many youngsters are getting into agriculture, right? So I would say a second objective now would be to motivate more and more people, get into agribusiness, get into growing, start exploring the industry. So yeah, I think we've been able to do that fairly well, but it would deeply penetrate when you start going regional, which is where maybe a year or two down the line, I would like to maybe using AI tools or whatnot, get into a lot more regional content, which is when I feel the 50 million farmers who are around, they'll be benefited. Yeah. Basically, AI penetration in agriculture is not as deep as yet, right? Because to build any form of general intelligence, you need a lot of data. Agriculture as an industry is still in the stage where a lot of data is being collected.
Right.
So now
it's not documented.
It's not documented.
Correct.
So now you would see the use of, let's say, sensors,
Right.
people using that to capture data, soil information, different stages of a plant. But maybe 3, 4, 5 years down the line, when you have enough of that data across different crops, is when you'll start seeing a lot of specific intelligence. Otherwise, it's too scattered right now. So I think penetration of AI in agriculture is quite low as of today.
No, that makes sense. Talking about the business, right? Like, when did you start thinking that, hey, like, I need to be making content that at some level has an impact on the business? Or is that even a thing that you think about?
Not really. So a lot of people don't even know that I work in AgriPlus. AgriPlus was founded by my company, or I'm a part business owner, right? Most of my viewers would never know that.
Right.
And it was a very intentional effort to make sure that they don't know. You wouldn't see me promoting my products directly. You wouldn't see me asking people to buy, referral links, any of that, right? The whole idea was, if you provide people enough value, some way or the other, they'll find way to come back to you, right? So my father keeps saying giving takes care of getting. That's sort of the fundamental we've built this channel on. Let's say I make a video on greenhouse farming. I provide good value. I provide the right guidance. I do not fool them. I actually provide them information that is tried and tested. Tomorrow you want to build a greenhouse, you'd probably come back to me, right? You are in a way learning to trust me. So I would say people who create content, you should focus on just creating value for people. You should focus on building trust. Because if people start to trust you, trust me, they'll find a way to come back. Like now I know for a fact that 5-10 years down the line, a lot of people who will work in agriculture, they might not choose to work with me, but they will consider me at first thought. And when at that time, if I'm able to capitalize on that, provide them the right solution, then my business will be taken care of.
But that's a very long bet to take, right? How
It
are you
is.
so comfortable taking that? And that's the right way. Like, just to be clear, you should be thinking like that. But it's not easy because you're investing money, you mentioned
not,
close to 50% of your time into doing this.
Yeah.
So how do you rationalize that in your head? And I ask because someone who's watching who also wants to do content, they have to understand that yes, it's cheaper, but it's expensive in terms of time. Why even take that bet?
So what I've understood, there are two sides to it. Number one, your own investment of time. And number two, how can you afford to do sort of such a thing, right? Any person, I think, what the West, what Mr. Beast, all of these people have showed to a lot of people that YouTube is very lucrative. People need to understand that those guys are the absolute pinnacle of what YouTube stands for, right?
Yeah.
They are the 0.001%. And YouTube, as such, in India, pays a lot lower compared to, let's say, the West. Then you go down to each niche, it varies a lot, right? So economically, the only reason I'm able to do this today is because I have a strong backing in terms of the business, in terms of support, and in terms of the benefits also. Again, it goes back to the business. Maybe my YouTube revenue might not necessarily pay me, but one order, two orders here and there could bring back to the business. Although that's not the direct objective. That's not something we're actively measuring, right? So my first point would be, yeah, if you're looking to do YouTube solely from day one, then you have to give it your all in and understand that it comes with a huge element of risk. Otherwise, make sure that along with YouTube, either you have a backing or you're building something alongside it. See, of course, not everyone who's a big YouTuber today had a backing. They started, then there was a huge element of risk. That's the reason why they're at the top, right? They gave it all they had. They started small. They started with one person, build it to a good enough base. Like I was talking to Ganesh Prasad, Think School, and he, I think, till about 1.5 million subscribers, used to edit all his videos on his own, right? Nas Daily. Nas Daily got hired editors a lot later. He used to do a lot of his content and stuff on his own. So it's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. But for me, is that worth the investment today? Maybe not, because I can afford to. That's leverage, right? What we talk about. My business and my backing and the benefits my business gets is my leverage. That's one of the biggest reasons why I'm able to do it a little more comfortably. And as far as my time is concerned, especially when you're a second generation entrepreneur, there's always an element of pride which kicks in. Yes, I'm getting a business, I'm doing something, but I want to find my space on my own as well. So I think AgriTalk, YouTube was a good tool for me to do that, provided that it's also providing value to my team, it's providing value to my business, and in a way I'm able to gain respect of people outside of my business as well, right? Ultimately, how much ever money you earn, things like that, it's very important. I'm all in for being a capitalist, but being respected also feels like an achievement, right? So I think I've taken one step in that direction. That's what keeps me excited. Let's say I go at an agriculture event. People know of our work. People know, they've seen, come across. They might not be able to identify my name, but hey, you're the AgriTalk guy. So that sort of, motivates me. And I know for a fact that if I give it 5, 6, 7 years over the time, it might compound into something of its own, which might be independent or which might be something new. Yeah, people who want to get into it, I would say, think it through. If you're young, you have nothing to lose. Try, give it all you have. Work hard, understand how the platform works. But if you're at an age where you have no backing, maybe not enough income to support yourself, don't necessarily rely on YouTube from day one. It will take time. It will take time even to give you substantial returns. It'll take a year or two, maybe 3, if not more, right? So there's always an element of risk with it for sure.
So if let's say there was another business in like a B2B space, right? Like a physical product business or a physical service business, and they were considering to do YouTube, who should consider to do YouTube? Should it be the founder? Should they find someone to sort of do this full time? Should they outsource it? Having done this for quite a while now, what would that recommendation as a business owner be to another business owner?
I think my first question would be, what are you trying to achieve? Like, why do you want to do YouTube? What's the thought that struck you behind doing YouTube, right? That would be the primary objective. For, like a lot of people want to get into YouTube, but what's the core objective you're trying to achieve? If it's branding, visibility, there are different ways. If it's creating, documenting success stories, sure, so be it. I feel anyone who wants to get into YouTube or wants to get into any sort of content creation has to have a very clear cut objective. Like if you've seen Barbershop by Shantanu,
Correct.
I was speaking to him as well, and he mentioned that he started the podcast because it was the only way for him to communicate with his audience. Like it is a great way to get, let's say, customer feedback or just create a relationship with the audience. So that worked out really well for him. Now more people, a lot more people will know, let's say, Bombay Shaving Company because of Barbershop, right? Number one, I think you need to be very clear so as to what you're trying to achieve from YouTube, because there are different things. Like a lot of companies just document their success stories, and that's fine too. That's perfectly okay. Like I have a business YouTube page as well. We just post testimonials, never look at any analytics, never look at AVD. But send it to my team, let's say a South Indian testimonial, they send it across to all their farmers, right? So be very clear in terms of what you're trying to achieve. That would be point one. And point two, if you're getting into it and if you have leverage, always build a team or always find people who are one step ahead of you. As a business owner, you might not be involved day to day, shooting videos. You'll have someone guide you. So I would say find the right people, build a good team. That's where you'll ultimately be able to scale. But yeah, you need to be very clear with what you're trying to achieve. If you don't have that answer, then probably don't start YouTube or don't start any sort of content creation. I feel a lot of people also over glorify it. It probably is not going to add like 500 crores to your business. There are people, let's say in manufacturing, who I work with. I remember long back, I told someone we reached 100,000 followers. He like, हाँ तो कितना पैसा मिला? Because that's a school of thought as well, right? So someone who's already making good money without YouTube, without social media, you're comfortable, have a good lifestyle, chill, do what you're doing.
Right.
So be very clear with what you want to achieve.
As a niche with agriculture, can you talk about some like revenue numbers, specifically YouTube? Like, does YouTube ad
How is the
actually does
CPM?
it even pay?
Do people do
Yeah,
brand
we have no
deals?
idea.
So my monetization was off for a good amount of time, even after it being on. My monetization was off till I hit 100K. That was I was advised by one of my mentors, and even my father said, let's just keep it that way. Post that, I feel a channel, let's say with 100,000 subscribers, ideally should be able to make anywhere between 50 to 70, 80,000 a month.
Just from ad revenue.
Just from ad revenue.
Dollars or rupees?
I'm talking rupees. If it was $50,000, I'm probably, I would sound a little more excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll speak in rupees. I can't think in dollars. Right. In my industry, CPMs, I wouldn't get into too much. I'm not very aware of how it works for different industries. I know for a fact that a channel of similar size, let's say speaking English, doing a different niche, can earn up to 1 lakh a month, right? So the kind of industry you're in, the kind of target audience you have, YouTube positions the brands in that way, right? 100,000 to 200,000, you probably be making anywhere between 50 to lakh of 50 a month. I know that's a huge range. That also depends on what your average views, what's your average view duration. Like let's say I maybe get 50, 60,000 views on a podcast, but people are watching that podcast for 10 minutes, right? So I might make good money. I might make 10, 15, 20,000 off that single video. Someone else maybe has a shorter AVD, but has more views. Might just make similar amount of money, right? So it would be a good combination of which industry you're in, what's your average view duration. The longer people watch your content, the more YouTube will show them ads, the more you learn. And yeah, the language you speak is equally important. I think you guys know that English content always tends to do well.
Correct.
But I think in the next 2-3 years, this should change slowly.
What are like some benchmarks on like the analytics side that you go for on your channel, right? Let's say like for an hour-long episode of the podcast, what's like that AVD that is good for you?
Usually what I always tell my team and I tell people as well, right? Always get into the shoes of a viewer. Like think of yourself as a service provider. You're a service provider and you are my customer. So what's the first round of interaction I have with you? It's when you come across my video on YouTube, right? YouTube mixes up, throws your video to a bunch of people who it thinks will watch your video. The first interaction is obviously your title and your thumbnail. So the first metric everyone should look to nail down absolutely is your CTR, which means out of X amount of people, I think 100 people, how many people are actually clicking your video? So every 100 people YouTube shows to your video, maybe 8 or 10 click, right? So the first metric which I look towards is having a good CTR. How do you get a good CTR? Have a good thumbnail and have a good title, right? So that would be the first step in my viewer journey. Now the viewer has clicked your video. He has seen the title, he has seen the thumbnail. Within the first minute or two, are you actually talking about what he came for? Right? Which brings me to the second metric, which is what your viewer retention for the first 30 seconds, not even the AVD. What's your drop off percentage within the first 30 seconds? It should ideally be 50 to 60% of your viewers stayed beyond 30 seconds, right? What's the call to action here? Within the first 30 to 40 seconds, ensure that you are promising or you are speaking about what you promised in the title and thumbnail. Once that is done, there's this nice creator called KK Creates. She's also came on a podcast on Ranveer show. She was mentioning how, again, this varies across content formats, but if you're doing, let's say, a storytelling video, every 10 to 15 seconds, you need to bring something extremely interesting. In my podcast, it might be a little different because some people are listening, some people are watching. But yeah, for me, I need to ensure that within the first 8 to 10 minutes, I'm providing them absolute value. I'm providing them, the key parts of the podcast, which brings me to the second point, which is average view duration or average percentage viewed, right? For a podcast channel, I've been advised, although I'm not able to hit those numbers, that my channel AVD should be around 8 to 10 minutes. Now it's maybe around 6.5, somewhere around that, right? So that's the second important point, which is average view duration. So I feel if people are able to nail these two things, if you're able to get a good title, thumbnail, have a good CTR, you'll notice if your CTR is really good, your video which comes ranking 1 amount of 10, your video will do well within the first 30 minutes, 60 minutes, right? Interesting topic, good title, good thumbnail, people will click that video. After that, it's in your control to how you can retain them, which I would be, if people are able to nail down these two things, I feel like.
What's like a good CTR benchmark for you that you go for? Let's say in the first 24 hours.
I think 6.5 to 7% is good. Most of my videos which do well probably are around that area. I've heard that larger creators say it's 5.5 to 6%, but you should look north of 6% at least.
Right.
It's a good number. Higher the better.
And AVD you said is in the first 30 seconds, you should not lose more than 40% of
more the better.
Audience.
So this is the metric I recently started tracking actually. If you go on your YouTube phone, they show you the drop-off chart, right?
Correct.
So I think 60 to 65% of the viewers are still watching after 30 seconds. That's a good number.
Right.
I investigated this across maybe 10 videos. I saw 50, 60% was the average. But again, most people just click on the video for the sake of it and they drop off, right? But if you're able to hook them with that first minute or two, they'll have no option but to stay. That's true. And AVD varies a lot across channel to channel, right? My target anywhere is always between 8 to 10 minutes, but I average maybe 6 to 7 minutes across my videos. Yeah.
Talk to me about that one, like your most viewed video, right? The ginger farming one. It's a very interesting story. You were mentioning that it was not supposed to be a video. It's like a session. Clearly, people are taking notes and everything. I would love to know more about how that video came to be, one. And second, like any specific things that you noticed on the insides of that video. Maybe like the CTR did really well, or I don't know if you changed the thumbnail at some point, or that thumbnail was there from the beginning. But anything interesting that you learned from that one video?
Yeah, that video was not meant to be shot in the sense that we had our team come over to Bangalore for a conference, and then we were planning to explore new crops just as research, right? And I proposed to my senior team member, why don't we document this? I don't know if I'll post it, but let's document it either ways, right? So all of us went there, we were taking notes. And then,
Can you just explain the video a little bit for
Yeah, sure. So the video was basically about turmeric farming. Now, turmeric or haldi is basically typically done as a tuber crop in open field. Like you don't necessarily use as much technology. It's done in large volumes in our country. But where we went, they were doing it in soilless and they were doing under protected cultivation. So I think these two factors in itself were quite new for a lot of the viewers, right? So even we didn't know too much about it. We went to explore, we went to understand. It was literally us learning about this crop for the first time as well. And I had a lot of hesitation with that video because as far as I remember, that was maybe my first or second English video on the channel. So my 99% of the content is in Hindi. So I was very dicey. Should I upload? Should I not upload? I'm like, okay, let's take a shot. What's there to lose? Not like you have much scale, right? So we uploaded it. And then one thing which I noticed was that most videos which do well, they probably do really well within the first 30 minutes. I recall that within the first 30 minutes, within the first day, that video had close to 20K views. And at that time, my videos wouldn't get as much. As far as metrics were concerned, thumbnail, never changed it, put it once, never have bothered to look back at it again, because I know for a fact once it's picked up, it's going to keep going. But yeah, I think what worked with that video was the topic, which is what I always say, your content is absolutely the most crucial thing. Editing, everything is secondary. If content is good, if it gets more and more people to talk about it, then it will probably do well. Metrics, I think CTR was started off really well, 6.5, 7. But as in more your impressions keep increasing, your CTR will drop. So I think now it's around 5.5%. Honestly, haven't looked at it in a while. I don't go back to analytics as much.
Do you have your phone? Can you check the AVD and tell me what the AVD is?
Yeah, sure.
This will be a very cool exercise.
AVD for that video, right?
For the turmeric video.
So that's maybe a 20-minute long video.
Also, I've noticed that a lot of your videos have that sort of financial angle, right? Of, let's say, earn 10 lakh rupees a month, or even I was watching, there's a very interesting mushroom video on his channel, okay, where he has gone in and it's a massive mushroom farm, and there's just like stacks of, I don't know what you call it, like platform with like huge
vertical
amounts of
setup.
mushrooms.
Oh,
And then
right.
He's also gone on top, like he's gone through the entire warehouse. It's like a 2-story shed, 3-story shed maybe.
Yeah. So basically, I was an indoor setup, and mushroom is farmed vertically. So I think 3 or 4 layers it was done up.
And I clicked
3
on it because
2 or
one,
3 floors or 2
It's not floors. Basically,
Levels.
let's say a room like this,
Right.
and you have stacked
Stacks,
platforms
right? Yeah.
in that.
So I clicked on it because it had that money angle, right? And I was curious, oh, you can make this much with mushrooms.
Yeah. So that's actually, see, YouTube, it works well on YouTube. But
Right.
what that money angle often does, it puts your credibility on question.
Interesting.
So you have to be very, very careful about it. I've learned this. Like, see, this is what I was told. Like, this is how you can earn. This was one farm doing it. Now, every farmer shouldn't have the aspiration that I can earn 1 crore from 1 acre. That's something which I'm very, very vocal about. But here's the thing, right? You can create those kind of titles, those kind of thumbnails, attract more eyeballs, or you can maybe settle down a little bit and attract more genuine eyeballs and be more genuine. So I'm not saying this is not genuine, but it brings a lot of evil eye to your channel, to you as well.
Right.
Coming to the data of this, the CTR is 5.8, AVD is about 3 minutes 42 seconds. Because it's a much shorter video.
Right.
It's a 20-minute video. Typically, I post hour-long podcasts.
Right.
So AVD is about 3 minutes 40
But
seconds.
15%.
Roughly, yes.
Yeah.
15%.
How long ago was this posted?
290 days. So,
So it still has 5% CTR.
5.8, yeah.
Yeah.
So almost 8 months.
Yeah.
On videos that really perform well, right? It has an extremely long like tail. It
Yeah.
will keep on performing.
Yeah.
And the videos that don't perform well, they will just like
They don't perform,
They drop off. I would love to know your process. You also mentioned you dropped a lot of like names, right? You've talked to Shantanu, you've talked to Ganesh from Think School. I'm sure you've talked to other people also. Is this through the channel, like because of the channel, or is it just in general because you want to talk to more YouTube people who are like who have figured more things out?
So Ganesh and Shantanu were both at a YouTube event. There was a YouTube podcast day which happened, I think, in December. I got hooked up to that event. I had a chance to get into their brains then. And as such, apart from that, I've never tried to network with YouTubers. I have good mentors in Manish Pandey sir, if you know him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's
He
helped.
was my 100th subscriber on my vlog when I had a vlog.
Nice. He's helped out a lot. Him and his team have helped out. Entire Ranveer's team has been quite supportive. But yeah, I've never really tried to network. I don't have content creator friends as such, if that's what you're asking. But yeah, it's if you get the opportunity, you should always try to get in the brains of someone who's 2 steps ahead of you. Ganesh gave me good advice. Shantanu gave me perspective so as to how he balances things between. I asked him a very interesting question. Like I asked him, how do you balance between content and work? How much time goes? Something similar to what you asked me. And he gave me a very smart answer, which I regret not giving you now. He told me that, bro, this is work. Content is my work.
Right.
Like I never look at it as something different.
Right.
So I would go back and change my answer to say that yes, content is my long-term work, but you still kind of need to draw a line somewhere, which probably someone with his experience does it a lot better.
Right.
I'm still learning along the way.
Talk to me about that Manish Pandey connection, because not a lot of people know about him still. Although now he's a lot more aggressive with telling people about what he does, which I love. But do you know Manish Pandey?
Yes. You have spoken quite a bit
I have?
about
Okay.
him. Yeah.
But he's phenomenal, right? I got the chance to meet him at an event a couple years ago, and like, of course, brilliant mind. What has that relationship been like? When did you first like talk to him?
Very nice. So I think Ranveer and their team started the whole skill house thing.
Correct.
And that's where they were doing a workshop, I think a physical workshop, 2-day workshop. I didn't know about it. And I think my dad, who's quite excited about these things, he's like, we should go for it. So that's when I first got introduced to their team. But what was really nice was they were exactly what I told you. They were very giving. They were willing to share what worked for them. They were willing to support you, mentor you along the way. That's when I met Manish sir as well. He was quite excited. Ranveer was also quite excited about the work. The space and the niche. It was a 2-day event, but that led to a relationship with them, right? So it's been over a year and a half almost, I think. There was a time I was going back every 3 months just to take his feedback, inputs. But yeah, more than anything, right? It might not be a day-to-day sort of engagement. But right, if things go down absolutely to the worst, you probably have someone who can guide you. And that in itself is quite comforting to know. If I have a doubt, I drop him an SMS. He's not on WhatsApp, I drop him a message. He advises me once in a while. But yeah, it's not a very daily engagement. But I know, if I need someone, they'll be there. And their team, I'm connected to their team as well. Team members, talk to them here and there if I have some doubt. Quite helpful.
Now that makes sense. Are there any other channels that you look to like? How do you run your operations? Do you have like a right hand person to sort of handle the day to day? Do you yourself handle the day to day? Talk to me about like the internal workings of Agri Talk as a channel.
So when I started, obviously it was me. I was doing everything end to end. My father used to do production. What you guys are doing now?
Really? Right.
So he's into cameras, all of that. So he used to come down to the studio. He's been a big supporter, like since day one. Continues to support. He's my marketer in a way, you can say.
Right.
So he was doing production. Then we built a team. Lost a few members, like they left here and there. That team building process, I think, taught me more than anything else, right? As of today, I have 3 editors and I have one person who takes care of production and manages a lot of the content operations. What I was doing before was I couldn't do it at scale. With one person, you can never achieve scale, right? So I would edit the podcast, I would write the LinkedIn post, I would do the description, I would cut a few shorts. I know how to edit, but not obviously very basic level. But now we've built a team, let's say, where two editors are primarily focusing on long form. There's one editor who just does short form, and there's one sort of team lead and production head who manages the entire operations, who helps them, guides them, assists them along the way. Where I come in here as of today is obviously ideation, strategy, kind of guests I want. I have someone helping me with outreach every now and then as well. So my thought process and alignment is there. How can I get better? How can I create better videos? I probably focus more on that now. But yeah, operation wise, it's very simple. When you shoot a podcast, there are a certain amount of things. Step one, before the podcast is shot, you have to choose the guest. You understand how the guest is. The thing with agriculture is it's a niche in itself. Right? Within the niche, you have to ensure the person has enough credibility of work, while at the same time can communicate on a public platform. A lot of people might be doing really well, but you need to get them to speak, which is a big challenge, right? So that's why guest selection becomes extremely important. I personally try to talk to the people once before we have a chat, and I very politely decline or accept if I feel like it's a good proposition for my audience, if I would enjoy the conversation. That's a very important factor. If I feel like talking to that person would not excite me, then I more often than not do not go ahead with the podcast, right?
Is this inbound or outbound? Like
It's both. It's both. Most of the guests who you see on my show would probably be outbound.
I would imagine that all the good guests are the ones that you are finding, because I'm sure you get a lot of noise, right? Like so many people just saying that, hey, I'd love to be on the show.
A lot of people come. That's the thing, right? A lot of people come with commercial interest. Like they want to promote their brand, so and so. I don't necessarily want to position it that way. So we have a lot of people who try to reach out to us. Some of them do come on the show as well. I reach out to a lot of people. The team reaches out to a lot of people. Again, network. Let's say, someone mentions that this is a good, you go by trust. That's a trust on the network as well. But yeah, there are a lot of people. I get several mails on a daily basis for people to be on the show. So yeah, once you choose the guest, then next is the preparation, right? I didn't realize how important this was until maybe couple of months back. It's super, super important. Your audience will not forgive you if you don't know the fundamentals, right? I've faced it in the past. I've learned it. But yeah, that's my most enjoyable process. I enjoy the process of, let's say, researching, learning about people, learning about technology, because that gives you a lot of perspective. Then you sort of prepare your pointers for the podcast, guest comes in, you shoot, then starts the whole distribution part. Now, even when you shoot, let's say, a 2 hour podcast, you guys are shooting with me, this might not be the end output, right? You have to concise it, see what should be placed where in the long form, in the timeline, what work has to be done, what are the markers, where do I need text boxes, all of these small detailing has to be done. Now the team is taking care of these things, but there was a point where I've done all of this. And then obviously from the long form, what's your short form distribution? Something new a lot of people are doing, which I've been advised as well, a lot of graphics, carousels, what are the extracts you can put. So these are all social media extracts you can get out from one single podcast. And that's the beauty of a podcast, right? You can repurpose one content in so many ways that you'll probably never be out of content. I always tell my team, if you feel like you're ever out of content, you're probably being lazy. There's so much work. There's endless content in 90, 100 episodes. There's probably like 25 reels an episode, repurposed, re-edited, reframed, one posted as vertical, one posted as square, one purpose posted as a carousel. So that's basically the whole operational part. And that's the most time consuming part as well. Like, the entire distribution bit, which is what, again, I learned from Ranveer's team. They do a massive amount of volume of work. Like they do maybe 30 reels a day, 40 reels a day, if I'm not wrong.
Dude, do you know about this? I was talking to another friend that we talked about. He was telling me that Ranveer has 50 editors.
Wow.
And the most commendable thing that I got to know was like a lot of people can hire a lot of editors, right?
Yeah.
The most interesting part is that he has very little churn. Anyone who joins his team does not leave.
Interesting.
Oh, his team is brilliant. Like that's true.
He takes care of his team, and that is like extreme. Like it's very difficult to do.
Yeah.
And adding on to the fact that you're only doing a podcast, right? So
Yeah.
like, how are you keeping people happy doing a podcast?
Yeah.
And they're staying. And dude, they have a massive output. They're doing like some 300 reels per episode. No, like
per
some
episode.
crazy
What?
300 reels per month or something like that.
No, more
Okay.
than that, probably.
It's some
Yeah.
insane amount.
Way more
They
than
do
that.
like some 50 reels a day or something crazy.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
just check out their Instagram.
Wait. Only from the podcast.
Yeah, just podcast. Like every second is same. Prakhar ke Pravachan, if you know, he did something similar.
Prakhar is doing maybe 100 reels a day now. That's what someone told me.
Yeah,
who's
it's
working with him.
incredible.
But you won't be able to push all that through one channel, no?
You can maybe different distribution, different platforms. All of
So
those
you know,
things.
we talked about this on the show. I had this. You remember when Prakhar had that thing with Sandeep Maheshwari, and his channel kind of fell flat,
Mm-hmm.
and then now he had an explosive growth after it. So my theory is that he not just used shorts, but he also used a lot of fan accounts, because you'll find like random fan accounts with like a massive repository of only Prakhar reels, and it doesn't make sense. Like who will have the time just to do
Oh,
just
yeah.
That's a
true.
very common practice in content. A lot of people do fan accounts, meme accounts. These guys are running the same accounts. Like it's probably
Right.
not a fan account.
correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a very interesting
Yeah. Then
strategy.
it
to
makes sense that
Yeah.
they are able to push out that kind of volume.
No, but with 50 editors, let's say, even if 20 are working, they're churning out 2 to 3 reels a day. Easily you can do it, right? 80 to 100 reels. And you have someone just going on posting the entire day.
Correct.
It makes sense at that scale. Like you're at maybe 10 million subscribers. You have a good team. You're doing well.
Talk to me about some crazy stories, because I'm sure after doing YouTube for a while, like has someone just like thrown money at you saying that I really want to be on the show, or you went out to some guest and something unexpected happened and you had to pull through and that video did really well. Do you have like some stories like that, memorable stories?
The money aspect in our industry isn't as common maybe in other industries, right? Like as it is in other industries. The thing with agriculture, I think people are more conservative. Even if they're doing well off, they have, let's say, $1 million companies, they will hesitate to, let's say, pay you money. That's something I've definitely, I can speak about publicly. Like I don't propose money first ever. But if someone clearly mentions that, this is what it'll come, I need my branding, I need to convey this message, I'm like, sure, these are my production costs. At least cover that. But then you see them take a back step very often, right? So that's been quite surprising. Not that it bothers me, but it's not paid appearances are not as common at least for my show. I can speak for myself, not as yet, right? Interesting stories. Yeah, I think the experiences, I can't necessarily think of one thing, but let's say traveling to farms and staying in like very below par places, it's an experience in itself. Or seeing what farmers are actually doing, the kind of lifestyles they're living, that really opens your eyes, right?
You take your team with you, right? It's not just you.
Previously, I used to outsource, like I used to get someone locally. Now I have a producer with me who travels every now and then. But yeah, more if you look at my outside shoots, it's probably someone from outside who's helping me out. That's more feasible in terms of cost.
Okay, would you be comfortable talking about cost a little bit? Like, how much does it cost to produce Agri Talks every month?
I'm thinking if I should reveal this or not. I can tell you, like, see, the setup we have is quite good. Like, it's really good. We had a lot of the equipment and the assets beforehand. So, because my father was into the space, into photography. In today's date, if someone has to set up that infrastructure, it would cost a good amount of money, like anywhere between 15, 20 lakhs. I'm
Just your studio.
just the studio, infrastructure, everything. I would give you an honest number, right? Cost of running it, obviously, there's a cost of a team of 5 people, there's cost of travel. So, like I said, this channel does not make economic sense in itself, not as yet. I'm still treating it like a startup that I would like for it to make sense in itself in some time. But yeah, someone starting out need not start here. That's the beautiful part, right? I started because number one, I was against all of this. I was never all in for it. We don't need to. But my father was like, no, let's do it. Let's do it. He's very passionate. And he's like, okay, let's do it. So people who want to start out don't need to spend so much. They can start out, even if it's a podcast, a simple recording. Look at maybe more creators who've come from ground zero. Look at people like Raj Shamani, Ranveer. See their journeys. See how maybe a Prakhar navigated their way through. Obviously, I feel they worked extremely hard, but they were positioned at a very nice time of podcasting in India as well. But the point, case in point being, you don't need to spend so much money. You don't need to get the best equipment. If you truly love creating content, probably work on your skills, work on storytelling, work on hard skills, editing. You should understand basic, work on camera setups, these things, understand the best settings on your phone, and start out there. I still feel someone who's extremely authentic and people can relate to and starts with a camera phone today will overtake someone with the best production setup very quickly. So production equipment, all of that is an asset, particularly so for a podcast. I feel podcast still needs a little bit more setup, but another advice which a lot of people have told me, maybe day one shouldn't be podcast. Always learn how to talk,
Correct.
do talking head videos,
Right.
Build your
Used
own
to be on camera.
yeah, get used to being on camera. Build your own credibility. People should watch your channel for you, not for your guest. I mean, for your guest as well. But okay, let's say instead of Vijay Malia today, I bring some average guest. You still watch my podcast because I'm on it, right?
Correct.
So that's something, which will take me a lot more time as against someone who's built credibility, which is why I also do talking head videos. Firstly, I love the process, but also to show that, this is the effort I'm putting in my journey towards Agri Talk.
Is
So,
that
yeah.
is like your on-screen personality something that you consciously think about? Because now talking to you here, there is very little difference between the person that I thought you would be, knowing you on camera, versus how you are in person, which is a great thing. Like that delta should be as close to zero.
What did you think of me? I'm curious first.
No, I thought you're very well put together. You're clearly very methodical, and if you were not in agriculture, I would imagine you either being in sports or in like the army. You give off that vibe. It's exactly the same as you are on camera, right? And that takes time. Like I've been making content for a couple of years. It took me time to like be completely comfortable and secure in knowing who I am. And hey, like this is it. Like I'm not trying to showcase something else on screen. Is that something that was natural for you, or
No,
did you
not
have
at
to
all.
like consciously work on it?
Actually, not at all. Now that I look back at it, I also used to question, is it natural? But there are still many areas of content creation or public speaking or talking to people I lack a lot in. I might come across as extremely well articulate. That's because I've given maybe 50 public speeches and I'm a Toastmaster. I worked across college to develop the skill, right? I might be able to do a video in front of a camera because I had a channel where I used to make videos nobody used to watch. So I feel that stuff is compounding now, and all the knowledge and Jnana elders give us, it'll take some time. I'm kind of starting to see that now. There are still many elements of speaking. Let's say I'm maybe not as visually expressive. That's something which takes me more time. But what I have, I think instinctively, I used to write really well. And if you write well, I feel you can articulate things well. You can speak well. So it's effort. Like it takes time, but there's still a long way to go. But if people think that I'm doing something well and it's come overnight, then that's definitely not the case. And if you think that I'm not doing something well, you're damn right. I agree. Like there are so many areas of content creation I'm still very uncomfortable with. It's still taking me time. So nothing to be shy about.
If you were to give any like actionable advice, right, to someone who wants to be in like the podcast space in specific, apart from the usual of, hey, you have to be clear with why, like your purpose, your why, things like that, what would it be?
Advice for people who want to do a podcast.
Yeah, and these are not creators. Let's say like a business owner wants to do a podcast and they have a business that they want to promote in some shape and form, and they have this curiosity and passion for content, perhaps something similar to your dad, right? What would like your like practical advice be?
I think my practical advice, it might sound very impractical, but number one, don't start a podcast with the intent of extracting something. Do the podcast with the intent of giving something, right? I think when you develop that mindset, things will come your way. And second thing, you should be able to enjoy having conversation with people. There are some people who can be great content creators, like they can be absolutely amazing, but they might not be good podcasters. And it's absolutely true the other way around as well. As a podcaster, you should be a good listener and you should really enjoy. Like I'm enjoying this conversation right now, irrespective of the camera, I would have enjoyed it. So you should enjoy talking to people. You should enjoy exchanging notes. If you're someone who hesitates from meeting new people, it can be a game changer for you, but at the same time, understand that you have to be open to meeting new people, right? So my simple advice would be, don't look at it necessarily from day one as a tool to improve your business. Look at how you can provide value and look at people. Make sure that you talk to people who you genuinely want to talk to. I've made this mistake in the past. I won't name guests, but I've had people who I really didn't enjoy the conversation with. I've either not uploaded the podcast, or even if I uploaded the podcast, I didn't have anything else to go to, right? So make sure you choose the guests who you actually want to talk to, and make sure that irrespective of who the person is, this is your show, right? You sort of control it in the sense ki, don't let other people dictate how your podcast should be run. That's a very, very important thing. Even now, let's say my father has set everything up, given me all the support, but I don't let him even come in the space of my podcast. If there's a guest, it can be whoever, I have to be really willing to talk to that person. That's sort of the leverage I'm trying to build. I need to really be wanting to talk to that person. Or else the conversation, the research, none of it will come up to par. It'll end up being a shit show and your effort and time will be wasted.
On that research front, do you use like a lot of AI tools for your research, or is it like manual? What does that look like right now?
No, I do. Of course, I use a lot of AI to research, like ChatGPT, deep research. It really, really helps, right? I think AI really helps in getting to the right places. Now, I often tell my team as well, think first and then use AI to refine your thoughts, right? That's what I sort of do. Let's say there's a particular guest. I read up briefly about him on Google, and these are the things I want to know about him. Are there any instances? This is the direction I'm thinking in. Is there something that links my thought in that direction? Then I go to AI and ask them. Then I do a proper deep research. A lot of YouTube videos. If the person is public, if it's a topic, then a lot of ground checks, because my industry is very field based, right? AI, Google can have something. What's really happening on the field? So that's something I often do. But yeah, I am definitely pro AI. I use AI a lot in terms of research, mostly ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. But yeah, I think if you know how to use it right, and if you have clarity so as to what you want, it can really benefit you. But it shouldn't be your only instinct. Like you should teach it how to think in the direction you want it to think.
Actually, I've been very intrigued about, like, because we were talking about research also. You have figured out a way to come up with very interesting topics. Do these things generally come up in like day-to-day things, or like it's like, oh, you're reading about something, oh, this is very nice? Or
Oh,
like,
yeah.
how do you come across these
Episode
things?
positioning, like how do you package it? Is it done before you get on the guest, or do you figure it out in post?
Title, thumbnail, all of those things. In an ideal scenario, it should be done before, but I don't do it more often than not. Because I feel that actually, let's say you decide on the title, thumbnail. Answering this question first, then I'll come back to you. If you decide the title, thumbnail, what it's going to be, then you can sort of dictate the conversation in that direction. But at the same time, it's not as free flowing, right? I got this advice from a creator, Manish Pandey sir. A lot of them, they often decide the title, thumbnail, and try to take it in that direction. But I honestly don't do that. I go through the video, I study the video, which is what I always try to tell people. Study your own video, like literally like a student. You have to be very, very curious about what's spoken. Make all the possible notes, then understand how the YouTube algorithm works, link up, stitch a story, and then give it to your team. That's what I typically do. What was your question in terms of topics? A lot of times it's instinctive. Like if, let's say I'm doing a talking head video, I come across UAE is importing a lot of cow dung cakes from India. That's an interesting topic. I start thinking about that. I see if there's something I can link it to my audience, right? I thought about a topic about healthiest fruits and vegetables. Try to link that to my audience. Didn't work at all. Absolute worst video on my channel till date, right? But it's all about a lot about trial and error. The thing which I have to keep in mind is, does it bring value to my target audience? I can talk about health. I can talk about UAE. Does it bring value to my farmers, right? That's one. As far as podcast guest selection is concerned, I think topic is important, but again, which I mentioned before, can the speaker speak enough on that topic? So it's a mix of both. Either I find a really good speaker and figure out what he wants to talk about, or I find a really good topic and see if the speaker is credibility matches the topic, his communication matches the topic, or else you're not going to be able to bring out the best out of him.
It's very ironic. A lot of people look to podcasts as like a easy way out, right? That, hey, we just have to sit and talk. But the minute you start thinking about all of these things, there are so many links in the chain that could potentially go wrong and like hamper that growth that you want. Otherwise, from a, let's say, a non-podcast video, that is a little more controlled. So the more we are also getting into the space, like I'm realizing that there are just so many variables, right? And you have to control so many of these things.
And interestingly, podcasts, at least from what we can figure out, is slightly harder than making long form videos. It's because you have a lot more control on your long form than on your podcast. So that's like a
I wouldn't compare one to the other. I
Right.
think both are very different skills. I feel holding a conversation, making your guest comfortable, bringing out the direction in the podcast, right? Like, let's say I want you to talk about India-Pakistan war, or I want you to talk about something. How do I guide my conversation in that direction without it being like an interview, so that you talk to me about that topic, right? So that's a very good skill, which generally helps in communication outside podcasting as well. On the other hand, when you talk about a talking head video, kind of research, the kind of retention you have to create in your video is a lot more difficult than a podcast. I'm making a 10-minute video. I probably want my person to watch for at least 4 to 5 minutes, right? So that's a different skill. Even in podcasting, you can do that, but then you have to be more articulate while doing a talking head video. Shooting a talking head video is a lot more difficult, at least for me. Like, I don't use a teleprompter. I literally, if to bring out a 15-20 minute video, I often shoot for 2.5 hours, non-stop, rolling. So imagine the kind of work my team has to go through. Cut, 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 cut.
Is there a reason for it, for not using teleprompter?
I tried actually once. Firstly, I couldn't see anything without my glasses. That's one reason. The second one, I feel like the natural way of speaking, all of those things don't necessarily come out with a teleprompter. That's what my thought is. I would like to be in a situation where I'm able to do longer format videos at ease. My knowledge is at a depth where I don't necessarily have to rely so much. That will come with time. Like, if you look at someone like an Ankur Warikoo, right? He has credibility, he has knowledge, he has experience. He speaks for 30-40 minutes on simple topics without using a teleprompter. Let me tell you that. You probably know this, right?
So scripting it's incredible. Like, we can talk
Yeah.
more about it, but it's
Yeah. No, I don't know what his process is, but I'm just seeing from the camera. I know for a fact that he's talking to me. Like, he's literally talking to me. That comes with experience. I feel like I'm still early in that journey. It will take me some time, but I would like to make that a habit.
Ankur's the recording process, right? I've heard a lot about this. Dude, he's phenomenal at what he does. And more than anything, it's just like that vibe, right? That you get that energy from him. A lot of times, and I wanted to ask you this, that do you consume a lot of YouTube and storytelling content? Like, just learning more about, hey, okay, what's working on YouTube, or because it seems like you would be like a YouTube nerd, right? Or a storytelling nerd.
I think nerd, maybe not. What I've realized is, once you start creating content, which is not necessarily a good thing, you no longer look at any piece of content the same way. You start studying every piece of content. You
can't enjoy it as a
you can't
viewer.
enjoy it,
Yeah.
and they always say, create more than you consume, but in content it becomes the other way around. Like, especially if you're a social media strategist,
Right.
if you're someone working in content strategy, you need to consume more than you create. I don't like that. I'm personally not a big fan of short form content as well. Long form, I enjoy a lot. YouTube has always been my go-to platform. Before YouTubing anything, I would prefer it over most OTTs because it's so dynamic. And yeah, I do watch a lot of videos. I just watch videos and I study them. Like, let's say I'm watching a video about fitness. Okay, what's working for this dude? Why are people watching his video? Probably because he screams at a camera. Editing is quite basic. Why are people still watching it? Right? On the other hand, storytelling videos. How frequently is the camera switching, or How frequently is the context switching? What are the kind of edits, text boxes coming in? That becomes the habit. But I enjoy it for long form. Short form, I think I would like to stay away. I'm not a big fan.
What are like your go-to creators that you keep coming back to thinking that, hey, he's doing like a great job at understanding the platform or editing or strategy, things like that?
I think podcasting, again, I would rather say the kind of content I grew up watching as against go to creators. Prior to podcasting, it was only fitness. A lot of Jesse James West. I don't know if you know. Greg Doucette. Jeff Nippard. Mike is
Dude,
Ritter.
Jeff Nippard's strategy is on
Brilliant,
point, man.
amazing.
Brilliant strategy.
Look at Jesse James West storytelling. It's amazing. Like, too good, right?
Do you know Will Tennyson?
Will Tennyson, really good.
I used to watch him. I'm also
Yeah.
into like fitness and a little bit. And I used to watch Will Tennyson is this Canadian YouTuber.
Right.
For the longest time, he had his sub count on his channel switched off. And
Oh, you can do that?
Yeah,
I didn't even
you can
know.
do that. You can't. You won't be able to see how many subs you have. And when he switched it on, he had like some 2.5, 3 million subscribers. It
Oh,
was
you also can't
incredible.
see it. Like you, the creator, can't see it.
No. You can see it at back end. People
right.
can't see it.
Fair.
So they didn't know that, okay, like how many subscribers does he have? And he was massive. Like I remember, like he's a personality, right? Like he has that dry humor and but yeah, huge fan of him. Who do you don't follow people in the Indian circuit? In
I do
fitness?
for podcast.
You don't watch Tarun Gill?
No, I don't watch. I have consciously not consumed a lot of Indian fitness content.
Right.
Having been in this space, I think I've had a lot of practical experience and a lot of practical guidance. So Indian fitness content, not as
You're
much.
missing out, man. Tarun Gill on Instagram is the pinnacle of.
I know that he drops
pinnacle of
steroids.
fitness.
Yeah. I watch, of course, podcasting, Ranveer, Raj. These guys are the benchmark of good content. Then there's outside in the West, you have Diary of a CEO. You have so many
Dude,
podcasts.
did you very interesting. I don't know. Are you active on LinkedIn?
Kind of.
Did you? So he had a recent episode, Diary of a CEO, with who's that talking show guy?
Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy Fallon. Okay.
Oh,
So
right.
in
Yeah,
his
yeah, yeah.
episode, Jimmy Fallon gets up and he's like, "Dude, you're in New York," and that's when they break down that their set is
Yes.
mobile.
Yeah.
Their
Right.
set is not static in London.
Yeah.
I saw this yesterday and it just blew my mind.
Yeah, he does.
Oh, he
all
says
this
everything is
chandelier.
fake.
There's a
Correct.
chandelier on top that's added in post.
Yeah.
Because they have two boom mics.
Yeah, there.
And and I was like, dude, what is happening? But it makes
Chandelier
so
is
much
added in
sense.
post-production.
Yeah, chandelier is
Chandelier
not real.
is added in post. There were a few other
Wow,
things
I
which
didn't
were added in post.
Like the wall, they have those lamps in the back. They're not there.
Yeah.
It's added in post. And I was just like blown up because I follow his team on LinkedIn
Right.
and they keep sharing these things. And it made so much sense that, oh yeah, like they can't always get these like high value guests only in London, right?
Yeah.
So he just like travels and
Super smart.
yeah.
That probably cause his YouTube economics allow him to do that.
Correct.
Yeah.
What's the most unexpected thing that you figured out in terms of efficiency in your operation?
I think more than operation, I think it would be clarity in team building. That's something, if you're building a team, make sure that each person who you're hiring or each person, they know very clearly that this is what they're supposed to do, right? As one person, understand that you'll never be able to achieve scale. So if you're getting maybe another editor, let him know that you'll primarily be working on long form, or if you're doing long form alongside shorts, this is the quantity I expect on a weekly basis. That clarity setting is extremely important. Showing them the direction on a weekly, monthly basis. Let's say, 1 in 20 reels are hitting 100K. For example, my channel, that might be around the number, right? I need to hit at least 100 reels a month to be able to hit 5 to 6 100Ks on an average. So you sort of set a target there. Editors and all those people, I feel you should give them goals, set them direction, but allow them to be creative.
Right.
This is a mistake I actually initially made that, I needed in this much time, I needed this. Let them be as creative as possible. If you're building a team, operations, find someone else. Operations either have a supporting hand who can help you with content cards, reel cards, all of these things. But someone with a creative skill, allow them to be creative. That's how maybe you'll be able to bring out the best in them, and that's how they'll also stay excited. As far as content operations are concerned, one thing which most people in terms of a podcast can do is, if you're watching your podcast, really literally study your podcast. What I mean by that is, you're watching a 2-hour podcast, have your notes, marking and learning down each thing. This is at this timestamp I learned this timestamp I learned this. This was an interesting part, he said this, mark it on the timeline, mark it here. Study the whole 2 hours. Then when you give that to your team or your team lead or whoever gives that to your editors, they have clarity, right? And make sure that your team members also watch the podcast. Because until unless you have an understanding and have a feel of the entire thing, you're not probably going to be able to bring out the best thing. So yeah, that would be it. Because like I said, right, in a podcast on the operation side, think of it. If you have a teaser, you're probably creating a cut for the teaser. You're cutting out shorts for reels. You're doing timeline markers. You're concising the episode. You're doing markers for graphic designs, finding out content. All of these things at once are not possible, right? Once you have an understanding breakdown of the episode, you can always go back. Okay, this is what's here. This is what's here, and then tell that to your team. That's, I think, the simplest way in terms of a podcast.
No, that makes sense. It seems like you watch your own episodes
A lot.
multiple times.
Yeah, a lot.
How many times do you watch on average?
So obviously, there's one time you're shooting it, you're physically experiencing it. Earlier, I used to run through the entire episode once, and after I watched. But now maybe once it's released, maybe only once. But I often go back to old videos, see maybe what worked, what didn't work. Because like I said, honestly, I'm still figuring a lot of things out. I've not yet figured out how to get views consistently. I've not yet figured out how to get a lot of engagement. So a lot of experimentation. So I keep going back to see what worked, and if it didn't work, why didn't it work? So you want to make sure that you don't sort of repeat the same mistakes over and over again, right? And there was a point where I was doing 2 videos a week, and that was crazy. Then it became like 80% effort towards here. But that I could not sustain because guests, limitation, time, bandwidth. But another advice, if you're especially looking to be a full-time creator, then try to post 2 to 3 long forms a week. Like the faster you get the feedback, the better you'll be. So if you're doing one video a month, one podcast a month, bro, you'll take like 5 years to figure out what really works. I'm real. Like you'll take 5 years to figure out what works, right? Until unless you're creating something absolutely brilliant. So I would say focus on frequency, 2 to 3. Yeah, or if you're doing one, make sure it's a banger.
You know, very interesting framework that I heard someone talk about was like the 100, 500, 1,000 framework, right? So rather than thinking of experience in content as time, you should think of it as iterations. So how quickly can you get to 100 videos, 500 videos, and 1,000 videos, right?
Yeah.
Exactly what you said. Either you can be like, hey, I only have so much time. I'm going to do like one video a month, one video a week, things like that. Or you can just like cram it in.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
In a sustainable way, of course, that you don't get burnt out and you're actually learning. But the faster you cram it in, the more sort of you understand the.
See, yeah, Mr. Beast says this, right? Like, would you rather create 10 videos which do 10K a month or one video which does 1 million? People take that message, but people don't realize Mr. Beast created content for maybe 7 years till he even saw anything successful, right? Now he's at a place where he can do 2 videos a year and they will still do 100 million views, right? So to get to a stage of leverage, you need to do a lot of dirty work. Don't try to build leverage without doing the dirty work, right? I would say understand. I still feel like I'm learning, primarily for the reason because I've not hit 100 videos. After 100 videos, I'm really going to reflect. Okay, what was the impact of Agri Talk? What we were able to achieve? What have I learned? What's going right? What's going wrong? That would be a discussion I would have with myself, right? But 100 videos, a lot of people say is a bare minimum. You should not give up till you do that.
Correct. That's very interesting that you say that you've been able to hit a certain milestone within 100 videos, right? I'd be curious to know, like, which video got you the most subscribers? Was it like shorts? Was it long form? Was it that 1 million ginger video?
I haven't looked at the data of the 1 million one recently, but I do know for a fact that shorts used to pull a lot of subscribers. Now I think it's changed a little bit, but shorts can be really good to pull the numbers, right? You can have like 10,000 subscribers, 15,000 subscribers from a single shot. I've had that, like 15, 20,000 subscribers from one shot. Ideally, long form people focus on revenue. If your long form is blowing up, you'll probably get subscribers too. But a lot more people instinctively tend to subscribe through short form. My framework was shorts for getting the numbers, long form, keep learning. You'll get the numbers, but you look to get 100K views consistently. Numbers will come. Shorts also, if you get views, you'll get the numbers. Yeah, but typically shorts have pulled a lot of numbers for sure.
That makes sense. I think just to wrap up, one interesting thing that I was hoping that you would talk about is just as we were setting up, you were like, hey, I just keep 2 mics on me at all times, right? Is that like, do you also have like a camera? Do you have a setup that you can just like instantly take out and start recording? Or is that just...
Typically not a camera. If I need to, I use my phone. I always carry a mic whenever I travel. Maybe I need to record something or, audio. I feel this is something very important. Like 50% of the video is audio, right? You guys would know this better than me. So I feel like for a beginner starting out, your phone is good, but you could probably invest in a better mic. So always have a mic around. And yeah, it always helps out. Like let's say something happened, these mics were not working. We had a backup. I'm sure you guys probably have a mic too, but that's more of a habit. I don't carry a camera around. I have my phone. But yeah, if I have to use my camera, either I have someone helping me out or I'm in the studio where I lock myself in the room and then just shoot.
I have one like offbeat question. Why polo shirts? Because I've not seen you wear anything else. Almost.
Bro,
Or a
I'll be
sweatshirt.
honest, I don't have an answer to that. Like, I don't know polo around t shirt, what I'm wearing. I was not as conscious. I was always like a chill t shirt, tank top guy. But then people around me made me realize that, if you're on camera and if you're being public, you need to be a little particular about how you look, how you dress,
Right.
things like that. He said black. I saw something black. It looked okay. It's not even mine, I'll be honest with you. This is not my t shirt. This is not my t shirt. I found it. I picked it up only for someone to come and tell me in the afternoon, bro, that's not your t shirt. I'm like, oops. So yeah, I don't put as much thought into particulars of what I'm wearing, but I just try to look neat.
No, that makes sense. Apart from Manish Pandey, like anyone else that you could recommend that we could have on the show to talk about YouTube related?
You could do Shaurya. I think he has a lot of experience. You can maybe pick out a lot of the micro creators, 50 to 100,000 subscribers, understand what their challenges are. In terms of names, okay, I'm not that well connected. I know Ishan, he's in Bangalore, Ishan Sharma. If you able to catch hold of him.
Bits guy, right?
Bits guy. He's doing well on social media. Maybe depends on what you're looking, different segments, like you have agriculture. Maybe pick out people who
Do
do.
people ask you that, hey, you have this podcast, we also want to do a podcast? Like, do you get requests like that?
A few now slowly started happening.
What's that? Like, who's that person who has that request? Like, are they companies, individuals?
No, it's just
farmers?
people starting out, like let's say small creators or someone who wants to know, who's basically I'm at 0 to 1, they're at 0, right? Or let's say I'm at 2 according to them, they're at 1. So maybe I'm just one step ahead of them. They're the kind of people.
Right.
But yeah, I think you guys can explore like now. Someone like obviously Shantanu, if you get great, what's his idea behind doing a podcast? If you go to Bombay, you'll get a lot of options in terms of people. But yeah, maybe get into the thought process of why YouTube. A lot of people. That would be interesting. Like if you ask me this question, I go back and think, why YouTube actually, right? So that would be a good positioning for you.
No, that makes sense.
Cool.
I think that's the part.
That's the part.
That's the part. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure.
I hope was able to provide some value.
We definitely enjoyed the conversation.
This was a great conversation.
Cool. See you soon.
Cool.
See you.
Hi, this is Adil, your co-host at The Content Playbook. And if you like that episode, you should definitely check this one out.